Coming out as a monk, which I've done in the last few weeks, has been because there's not really a lot of words that I feel comfortable using, but I guess I have some things to say. Years ago, I had a guitar teacher, one of my very first guitar teachers, and he had asked me if I wanted to perform, and he would do these really complex, like 90-minute lessons, and he would record them. This is like, I think around 2007, so like right when the iPhone was coming out, but he would record it on a separate device. And I remember one day, it just, 90 minutes of a guitar lesson, very, very complex, and he was a pretty, like, neurotic dude. And I remember him saying, like, I asked him right back, I was like, well, do you perform or whatever? And to this day, I've never forgotten what he said, which was, I don't really have anything to say. And I just remember being so shocked by that, despite the fact that I'm quite a shy, introverted person. I've always felt like I have something to say, and I think part of why we've just had a lot of stuff going on at Ferrari Lover HQ that's made it difficult in the recording process, and I guess I have some things to say before I get back to recording, all the way down to, one single pickup on this guitar is completely sacred. And I've basically got to a point where the way that I was trained, it was very much a militaristic training. We were taught to basically not only worship the ground my master walked on, to be grateful, to be grateful, to have the opportunity. If you have the opportunity to become dust at the feet of a realized master or clean their toilet, the last thing you do is ask to be paid for it. And I think the reason that, again, because there's always something else going on in the spiritual realm. And I've just come across so many people who their lack of gratitude and lack of refinement is so unbelievably, like, I would have been unbelievably thankful to have the chance to go, unfortunately, like, I'm not going to talk, again, it comes up, my health issues, to get to run errands for someone like me. I mean, first off, I'm a really kind-hearted person. Second off, I'm a rock star and it's fascinating. Third off, the economy is just a complete disaster. And the level of entitlement and inexperience with a lot of people is just so off the charts. And I finally realized the reason I decided to make this video is that, I'm a really shy guy, and I've been through a lot of horrific things. I'm a true lover, and I never understood, and as I've said, I've studied psychology, dark psychology, can recommend a lot of different books. You almost have to become a sociopath to survive in today's society. But when people underestimate me, there's that saying that a lot of times God will hide your value from people who would destroy it or make a mockery. And so usually when people meet me, they have absolutely no idea that they're speaking to someone of a very, very high spiritual rank. And that's because I'm not an arrogant asshole. However, I finally talk about one step over the line. So one thing I've learned, and anyone who says that gender is purely physical just has no... It's a famous quote, actually, by a teacher. Anyone who claims that gender and sexuality is purely physical has never had a sexual fantasy. Like, full stop, period. The mind and the brain has a lot to do with everything. And I'm the type of clueless, like, for so many years, I'm this nice guy, who literally, at one point, I without getting into too much detail, I was in love with this girl who, on the outside was beautiful, a brilliant painter, from an unbelievably wealthy family. I thought I knew what it was. I mean, this is the type of family that would be like, oh, you know, we're just going to jump on our private jet tomorrow and fly to, you know, Europe at the drop of a hat. And this was also someone who was 26 years old and actively, like, you know, literally with the approval of her father, was essentially my girlfriend, but broke my heart and was sleeping with literally like a 65-year-old slime ball. Okay, that's what happens in rich circles. Now, can you imagine little skinny andro boy with a heart of diamonds? Just literally, I mean, it took me almost a decade to get over that. The level of heartbreak that I went through when you are truly in love with really, she was a girl at this point. And it's because I felt sorry for her. I knew on some level she was doing this to make her, crazy, obscenely wealthy father happy. But love is a real thing. And what I have discovered is that extremely personality disordered, cluster B personality disordered women, of which there are many. I would say the average woman or girl on the street has a cluster B personality disorder. And if you think about it, people on TikTok, they think they're talking to all their fans. They're actually talking in a hall of mirrors. At some point when these people have a spiritual awakening, they're going to wake up into their own nightmare and realize that that number of people who are following them is really just an endless mirror of people, of themselves staring back at themselves. Narcissism is not something I would really wish on anyone. It literally is its own horror movie. But the problem is we're living in this dreamland that kind of promotes it. But basically what I found out the other day through a bunch of issues with the home maintenance and that I'm dealing with is that someone who I really, really, really wanted to trust, and you can betray someone simply by omitting information. Just having my phone number is a luxury. So I found out at the last minute that there was inappropriate private information about our home revealed to a company on the other end, and hence the home repair was sabotaged. It has cost me and my family, my dad and I and us, thousands of dollars. And so this is someone who's supposed to be working for us. Long story short, there have been a few people working for us over the last few years. And this is literally when I have, again, I'm not even going to get back into my injuries, as you can imagine. But there have been times in my life where literally it has taken me like all the way, just decades of realizing. I remember, as I always say famously, I have never once in my life, and this is absolutely true, not once in my life have I ever intentionally hurt anyone. I'm sure I've unintentionally hurt people, but never intentionally. And do you know how rare that is? What I've realized is essentially I don't think I've ever really met anyone like me. People hurt each other, and intentionally they do it. And I can't even imagine. I mean, that is the definition of insanity. The real definition of insanity is intentionally hurting someone, because that's what Jesus taught, love thy neighbor. When you intentionally hurt someone out of jealousy or being unable to control your emotions, and that includes sabotaging them socially, physically, mentally, emotionally, you can plant one tiny little lie and it can destroy someone's life. And that has happened to me many times over. So what I realized one day in meditation, I remembered years back, this girl, I was really heartbroken about this one particular girl who, thank God, I dodged a bullet, because she turned out to be a truly terrible person. And one of the blessings of God is that, it's not possible for me to fall in love with someone who is not just as beautiful on the inside as they are on the outside. Now, outer beauty is also extremely important, and it takes a lot of work. It's like a full-time job. But anyway, I realized, holy shit, there was this girl who years ago, and believe me, like I said, I don't have a high body count. I've spent the majority of my life desperately, hopelessly, like alone with a broken heart. And that's one of the main reasons I went no contact with people who are supposedly in my family, and they just couldn't wait to rub their happy relationships in my face when they know that if they knew that I was barely surviving. When you are a very high level spiritual person, a heartbreak can truly, it is so brutal that it can kill you. And these lazy, pathetic, cluster B disordered people, especially, and the fact that people would accuse me of having a cluster B personality disorder is so laughable. I mean, God would be laughing hysterically. And I think what people don't realize is, and what I didn't understand, is that this girl, I very politely, this is the only time in my life, mind you, that someone told me, that this girl told me she was in love with me and wanted to go out with me, and I was honest with her. I kind of shocked, and I kind of realized, oh my God, I don't want to do anything to lead this person on. Now, obviously, it's painful, but it would have been a lot easier for me to just go out with her and have her be my girlfriend, Freudian slip. There's perfect analogy. Most women today are so far in their masculine, and they're so obsessed with dominance and control that there's no femininity and beauty about them. And it's not just guys. I mean, but believe me, I have sympathy for the idea that nice guys finish last is pathetic, and it should not be true. So anyway, that was one of the reasons I wasn't in love with her, is that she was far too dominant and controlling, and her personality was not very attractive. And that's a very masculine quality. Does that mean that you can't be powerful and in your, powerful feminine energy as a woman? Of course not. But a true woman who is a powerhouse doesn't have to say a word. It's a famous line in a song, God help you if you're the prettiest girl in the room. And boy, is that true. But sadly, the painter that I was still in love with, who happened to be absolutely gorgeous, at the end of the day, her soul was absolutely hideous. And once I got to know that, I narrowly escaped. And so my point is, I very politely explained. I don't even think I told her, this girl, that this is a different girl who kind of made a pass at me, and I said, I'm so sorry, I was still in love with this other person. The average person today would just hook up with that person, wouldn't think twice about dragging their heart through the gutter, would lead them on. But the second I found out she was interested in me and had feelings for me, mind you, someone who's a scapegoat, coming from an absolute nightmare, trying to get their life together with hardly anything, is not really in a position to love themselves enough to be. And that's the other thing. Oh, you got to fall in love with yourself before you love someone else. That is the quintessential, most abusive thing you can say to someone, okay? It's like saying to someone who can't walk, well, you got a beautiful life. Everything's great. Why don't you just be thankful for that? That is abuse, okay? There is nothing beautiful about a life of extreme disability. You could literally live in the most beautiful museum and have billions of dollars. If you have severe disabilities, it is abuse to tell someone to be grateful for that. And I've gone through that. It's one of the reasons I moved on from a lot of really brutal hazing and painful, difficult, horrific things I went through. So bottom line is, what I realized is that there have been several times in my life where several women who were in love with me at different times were so full of hate, and one of them didn't even say anything about it, that they actively, literally tried to destroy my life. Literally. A jealous, angry woman with no thought or regard for the fact that it would be much easier for me to just hook up with some woman and have some casual thing. Actually, that's not true. I wish I could do that. I wish I could casually hook up with people. I can't do it because my sexuality is connected to my heart. Can you imagine that? I can't lie to people. Well, I can lie, believe me, but I can't just pretend. And did you know that if you as much as sleep with one person, their physical energy is so entwined with your seven-dimensional light body in so many ways that it can take lifetimes to move through that karma? That's how serious this is. Literally, and people will hook up with any random person in a nightclub, you know, a true love, and I said this in one of my other videos, when I said true loves in a lifetime, you're lucky if you have 4. Quite honestly, you're a very young soul and you don't even really know anything about love if you think you've had more than one true love in this lifetime. And anyone who has lost a true love will tell you that it is a pain that never goes away. It is there every single day. And yeah, you do your best to be thankful, but no one should be told just to be grateful for that. It is a horrific tragedy, and it is evil. It is of the evil. It is not a godly thing. And so my point is, I recently found in the last couple of years, there have been 2 different people who think they can hide it from me. One in particular, I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess now that I have a lot more going for myself, I've had a few women fall for me. I'm only talking about 2 people, and they have, and to find out what they have done to actively just literally try to destroy my life when they know I'm in love with someone else. And I don't get to just call God up on the phone and say, hey, you know, I'm a people pleaser. Can I go over here and just hook up with this woman? I mean, literally, I have such a heart of diamonds. I had to learn to judge people by their looks. And I learned the hard way. There's several books written by supermodels, etc. I am not a judgmental, vindictive person, but man, you do not want to make me angry. And in this moment, I am angry because I found out that one of these people who I thought I could trust went and spilled the beans and spoke about some really personal stuff about my home to some random repair company, and it has cost me literally $10,000 that I don't have. That's how important it is. When people say you better be careful who you let in your house, to be honest, I'm disgusted, is an understatement. And as I said, I don't talk about my physical issues, but I am not physically well enough to be Superman all day long, and I do need help around the house. And it's just, you know, I have to think of it as this is me with my, I have really, God is everything to me. I can't be with someone who is not on the same spiritual path. Not only that, like I can't pretend like I'm not in love with someone else just to make someone happy, because it would be great. You know, that's the thing. You think being a dude is a purely physical thing. I mean, I am my light body, and I was born male, period. And but the gift of being a gender-bending artist is like, you know, I'm not the type of friend you want to piss off. Believe me. And it's just unbelievable to me that someone could think they are in love with someone and even lift a finger to hurt them. How could you do that? I mean, how could you actively want to sabotage and harm someone? That is not love. I'm sorry, it's just not. True love is the opposite. If you're truly in love with someone and you realize you can't be with them, what you should be doing is thinking about harming yourself, because that's the real pain. That's how you know. If you're in love with someone and you're so upset because you can't be with them right away, or you can't get what you think you need from them, or whatever the karmic lesson is, and you want to sabotage that person, you don't belong in heaven. That's for damn sure. And let me tell you, like, the bottom line is Ferrari Lover is a lot more than just music. But music is everything. The sound of my voice, the sound of the fan in the background that's part of the whole annoying situation, like, but for the grace of God go I, and I just, it's, and the other thing that's so painful is that I know that this person is attracted, they're in love with Skinny Andro Boy, they're in love with Ferrari Lover, they're in love with my amazing cologne collection and my guitar pedals. What about all the horrifying things I've been through? What about the untold miseries I've survived for the majority of my life? What happens when I'm not perfect and they find out that my shit stinks just like everybody else? All of a sudden they lose it. I mean, that's what an immature cluster B personality disorder is. When I say I don't do psychic readings, but I'm very in tune energetically, and so I can tell. It's taken me decades to understand the difference. Why do girls fall in love with me and then all of a sudden they hate me? Oh, it's because they find out I'm not perfect. And what it really is, it's their own projection of their own hate. Now, the reality is it is not possible to fall in love with oneself without the help of your divine counterpart. The twin flames are real. They're just much, much more rare than anyone can imagine. And so if you're blessed, like, it's just, I can't even, you think I haven't spent, I mean, people who don't know what unrequited love is, and they have literally like 5 minutes of unrequited love from me when I'm barely surviving all this horrific shit, and they want to sabotage my life. I mean, that is immaturity at a level that is just unimaginable. But it's everywhere. And that I'm making these videos simply because, point blank period, there are Ferrari Lover fans out there who fucking need to hear it. Because, I can't be the only person who's not insane. And we are living in a world that is insane. It's a ridiculous thing to say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. What about the Lord himself? What about God? He's the ultimate truth that never changes. So you're going to call him insane because he's true love and his love never changes and his mercy endures forever? No. Okay, all of these bullshit cliches, and I needed to say that. The reality is, here's a little window into the world of Ferrari Lover. One of the reasons I have not released that song, and I don't, is because it is about the heartbreak of my youth that literally brought me to the edge of death. To this day, I have barely survived it. And what I realized is, I was the one I needed to fall in love with as much as possible. But Ferrari Lover is a perfect example of me being confronted with the most unfair, horrific situation of having my heart shattered in a way that most people could not even imagine. You could not even imagine it. People who like to watch horror movies, they really have no idea what pain is. And, this guy, David Goggins, look him up. He's a freaking Marine. I'm not going to say anything negative about him. I don't want him to come here chasing down my house. But you know what? People who struggle with mental illness and challenges, yeah, they do need a medal just to get out of bed. People like that who are these influencers who say, get off your bitch ass and don't let the fridge get full and you better run, it's a gift from God that you can run a 100-mile ultra marathon. Not everyone can do that. And it's not because there's something wrong with them. And that's the bottom line. I've spent the majority of my life deserving a medal to get the hell out of bed. And Ferrari Lover is literally me hanging on to one shred of an atomic subparticle of love in a sea of a nightmare. I have been through the most unimaginable pain and torture and heartbreak that you can imagine. So no, I didn't just wake up like this. And when someone falls in love with the polished facade of who I am, and even in person, because I'm quite striking and beautiful and powerful in person, but I didn't just become this without working like an effing Marine. So it's painful for me when people are so-called in love with me, but really they don't give a shit what could happen to me. And that's why being too famous is one of the worst things that could happen to a person. The reality is people who become extremely famous, they find out real quick. As soon as their life turns to shit, there's billions of people who are obsessed with them, and there's not one person who gives a shit what happens to them. That is pain. And I know that pain. I may not have been that famous in my youth, but let me tell you, I know what that feels like. And so when you fall in love with someone, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Having a cluster B person, it's not funny. I mean, I've had people literally make fun of me to my face. I didn't get a Vassar degree by accident. I keep bringing it up because it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. So I guess my point is, love is a life and death errand. And believe me, you never want to wake up from this dream of life. And as someone who has had a near-death experience and lived to tell the tale, there is no death. And hell is real and heaven is real. So the most important thing is where you stand with God. And I didn't get here. Do you think I just had a relationship with God when I was begging Jesus to keep me from hurting myself 20 years ago? No. But I'll tell you, the last thing I would ever want to do would be to hurt myself, because I have known pain that most people cannot even begin to fathom. And that's another bullshit rumor that was spread about me, that I was somehow harming myself. You got to give me a effing break. Anyone who knows true pain knows that the last thing you would ever want to do is make the pain worse. There is no death. And so if you harm your body, you're basically a soul in the void with nothing. All your feelings, all of it. And you don't have a body to work through your karma. And these are facts right here. There's no Joel Osteen is not going to tell you the truth. Okay, do you know how many hours of my life I've fallen asleep with tears in my eyes listening to that guy while he's laughing all the way to the bank with 15 different Ferraris? So yeah, I finally decided, you know what, I deserve a Ferrari, and I deserve to treat my own body like a Ferrari. So now you know the cat is out of the bag. The name Ferrari Lover is a very deep, profound, spiritual name. And it came to me through God when I was at death's door, having my heart completely shattered by a careless, arrogant chick, and who will forever be known as What's Her Name. That's the joke. We call her What's Her Name. And I was just trying to save her from being 26 years old and screwing a 65-year-old billionaire to make her dad happy. If you think you know what pain is, try being me, because you don't. And that's the bottom line. Is I just newsflash, I think it's a rule now. I don't care if you're a sociopath, psychopath, a malignant narcissist, a borderline personality disorder. Being psychologically well in this society is pathologized. The more psychologically well you are, the less you will fit into society, because we are living in an insane society. We're living in a society where someone could lose their twin flame in a effing helicopter crash and have someone tell them to just fucking be grateful. That's the kind of effing society we're living in. And that is, anyone who would even dream of saying that to someone after they lost their twin flame should burn in hell. And so that's what I am. I'm much more than just a musician. And if you think you're in love with me, but you can't handle the fact that there's other things going on, and I have a heart of diamonds, and I'm not going to make it worse for you because you can't handle your own feelings for 5 minutes, and you're so angry at me for not doing the wrong thing. Look, if God wanted me to be with a person, that's the person I would be with. And it is very painful for me to have to reject someone when I know it's not right, when it would hurt me for sure, and it would definitely hurt them. But falling in love with Ferrari Lover is like falling in love with an ancient rare diamond that you can only come across once. And what I have had to fight just to be able to stand up, the muse, the divine feminine, my divine counterpart, is a very real thing, and it has not been easy, and anything that is really worth it is not easy, and it just makes me, I think it's good that people see this side of my personality. This is what happens when you are raised in a family where you are never allowed to have one negative emotion. You know, children cannot develop into healthy adults if they don't find a healthy way to channel their anger. Anger is God's protection, just like fear. It's there to protect you. And running from your problems, and the idea, you know, to this day, I have not done one thing to sabotage that girl so many years ago who was not my twin flame. She was the false twin. And let me tell you, the false twin is gnarly AF. Because the false twin flame will just seem almost like the real deal. All the way down to like, I can't even believe this person exists. But on the inside, it's evil. So the real twin flame will push you to your limits. But they will also teach you what love is. And if you dare to believe in yourself, anyone who would try to sabotage me because they're angry and jealous that I'm not going to go against God and hurt them by trying to be with them, I mean, it's just, it's it's ridiculous. When you love someone, marriage doesn't end in death. There's this fucking divorce influencer going around. All marriages end. You just want it to end in death. No, buddy. Marriage does not end ever. It's eternal life in heaven, or you fuck it up and you fry in hell. That's the option. That's literally the option. So make sure you choose right. And the video I made before, part of the reason these people suddenly realized they decided they wanted to actually be my family is because they found out it's not so easy to find your twin flame. It's not so easy to spend countless hours and countless nights devastated and heartbroken. And I mean, it's just the level of heartbreak that I have survived. Just the fact that I am talking right now is proof that not only is God is real, he is extremely powerful, because I've died many times over of a broken heart. And what did I do? I created Ferrari Lover out of it. I've got balls and nerves of steel. And when I tell you I am in pain, you best believe you would not be able to handle the pain. And so the reality is, do unto others as you would want done unto you. And don't project your shit onto someone like me. Because I am literally proof that God is real. And it is really hard to come by that shit in today's society. Let me tell you, I was born to do this, and a lot of people are born to follow the dreams in their heart. And if you're not, it just really makes me angry that someone would think that all this shit just came to me easily. Because some people it does. Some people it does. So maybe the part of I'm making this video is to make it crystal clear. This shit didn't come to me easily. And you're not in love with me if you're annoyed when I have a basic boundary, or I have to say no to something. That's not love. Love is not when you project all your crap and you try to sabotage someone's entire life for not even flat out rejecting you. And that's the thing that makes me angry, because I was talking about the Jezebel spirit, and it's a very real thing. That it's the Freudian slip. You know, there's like all kinds of toxicity in the queer community too. I don't even identify with that. I'm Ferrari Lover. I'm me. A Ferrari Lover was born out of heartbreak that you cannot even begin to imagine. And I literally turned the most unimaginable heartbreak from hell into diamonds from heaven. And I did it by the grace of God, with God's help. But don't call yourself a lover. Don't call yourself a fan of music, and don't call yourself a decent person if you think that when a guy like me rejects you, you should go try to sabotage his life. Because you don't know what pain is. And believe me, you will find out for the rest of eternity, because I am divinely protected. But I spent many years of my life where I was basically, it was just me and God, and God's tough on you when your goal as a yogi is to become a realized meditator and experience nirvana. God doesn't throw you a bunch of biscuits and a freaking pacifier. So I'm every bit as strong as any Marine. I just do it differently. And anybody fighting a battle alone, there must be some reason that I'm doing this. There must be someone out there who needs to hear what I'm saying. But not even that, I just needed to say it. Because the next time I meet a girl and she falls in love with me, she has to realize that that's a very complex thing. And if she's really in love with me, she wouldn't do a damn thing to even dream of harming me. And nor would I anyone else, whether I'm in love with them or not. I don't know. The bottom line is, I don't intentionally hurt people. God does it for me. I don't have to lift a finger. But someone has to, that's what Ferrari Lover is. Real love. And there's, like I said, Suede is one of my favorite songs. Bands, the London Suede, but I'll tell you, I cannot stand that godforsaken song, Love is Dead, by Brett Anderson. It is a narcissistic, self-obsessed, smarmy bullshit. Nothing ever goes right, blah, 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 love is dead. It's horrific. And you can tell because he was once asked in an interview if he had ever prayed. This is a rock star who grew up in poverty, supposedly, and has been handed everything on a silver platter. And his answer was a simple no. Never felt the need to pray. Not once. So now that you know it, Ferrari Lover was forged in literal, forged like a diamond. And I've lost respect. How can I respect my hero rock star who writes this self-absorbed song about love is dead and life is so hard, and he's never once in his life felt the need to pray? No. Love is undead, and when you're in love with someone, regardless of whether or not it can physically work out with them, you don't give up so easily, number one. And number two, you sure as hell don't do anything to bring harm or difficulty to their life, even if they've hurt you. And when it comes to someone like me, as I said, I have never once, not once, and that is not a lie. You can literally play this to a lie detector test. Not once in my life, almost 47 years, I say forever 29, 28, whatever, have I ever intentionally hurt anyone. And I don't think there's a lot of people who can say that. And that's why I'm fiery and angry and frustrated, because this is just, I guess my last nerve got hit, and I need to make some music about it. So that's the joke in Heartthrob. I woke up like this, and Barely Black, that's the other thing. Some idiot, that was my breakout song when I finally started writing post-punk. And this guy's trying to psychoanalyze me, and the whole lyric, lost my mind in love, but always have Barely Black. Newsflash, if you don't know how to lose your mind looking for God, you will never get anywhere. It's a metaphor. This guy was emailing me, trying to be my fucking therapist. How many Taylor Swift songs are who are these people? Katy Perry, the dude who painted one of my guitars here, he did a bunch of guitars for Katy Perry. It's common. Revenge songs, love songs, it's all common. But I don't need some idiot to send me an email and tell me that he'll be my fucking therapist because I wrote a song lyric. If you've never lost your mind in love, then you don't know what love is. And if you think that me politely refusing to marry you at first sight when I'm already in a complex situation gives you full carte blanche to just trash talk me and hurt me, because I've been physically hurt, I realize. These are by angry, jealous, bitchy girls who won't admit the fact that they fell in love with me and they can't have me, so they try to hurt me. And as I said, people don't lose their twin flame and get over that. And you just don't hurt people. You don't do that. So now you know the name Ferrari Lover is a lot more complex than it seemed. And believe me, it's real easy when God gives it to you all on a silver platter. It's real easy to point fingers and make fun of people who need a medal for getting out of bed. But here's to my fans who need a fucking medal for getting out of bed. Because sometimes life is that hard. And sometimes it goes on for years. I've been there and I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of people who've seen me suffering, who would choose to add to that suffering because they decided they fell in love with me, and my response was inconvenient. And what the reality was, I am the most loving, kind-hearted person ever who has done nothing but think about the welfare of other people my entire life. Full stop. That's what Ferrari Lover is. I just decided that maybe I should stick around too.